Welcome to Westbury Analytics Radio, where ServiceNow performance analytics for senior executives comes alive. Experienced ServiceNow architects, performance management experts, and other executives in your field share insights for how to drive performance management using the power of ServiceNow performance analytics. Performance analytics is a game changer, but it requires a different way of thinking than how most people think about reporting and performance measurement. Our goal here is to help you develop that new way of thinking. I am your host, Pedro Soto. Hey everybody, this is Pedro Soto. Welcome back our listeners to another episode of Westbury Analytics Radio. Now, our guest today is Jeff Giovinazzo. He's a CEO of Pathways Consulting Group. Jeff founded Pathways in 2006, and the company quickly established itself as a trusted ServiceNow partner for businesses in the Greater New York Metropolitan area, including some of the largest names in banking, finance, technology, and healthcare. Under his leadership, the company has grown and now helps customers across the country to unlock productivity, fuel efficiency, and accelerate the path to digital transformation. He loves his job as much today as he did 40 years ago when he first started as a solution consultant. Can you imagine that? Solution consultant to CEO. I've had the opportunity to work with Jeff for the past year, and it's been a hoot. He's got so much experience. Now, today we're going to talk about employee experience and a little bit about reporting and performance analytics as well. But before we jump into our discussion, I want to welcome Jeff and ask him to share a little bit more about his background and his journey. Jeff?
Hey, Pedro, thank you for inviting me on. It's been a while. You and I are working together, and it's interesting to have a serious conversation with you, brother. Usually, it's a lot of fun. But I've been fortunate. I've been playing work since October 1980. My first job in IT, and my team teases me about that because most of them weren't born yet. But I started out troubleshooting and just always enjoyed it. Always enjoyed working with customers and solving problems and getting my hands dirty solving challenges. So it's been fun. I still enjoy it.
Yeah. Now CEO of Pathways. That's a big challenge. It takes courage to be an entrepreneur, especially in today's environment.
I subscribe to fake it till you make it, so I've absolutely risen to my level of incompetence and experience new levels every day. But again, it's interesting. I've never really been afraid of a challenge. So, being in sales, it's fun. You learn how to deal with rejection for a living. So, you get knocked down, you figure it out, you get back up, you go back in. So, it's been interesting. My style of learning is more of a touch the stove kind of guy. I try to experience things, and
yes.
My mom, when I was little, said, "I hope you have a son just like you." I do. My youngest son is just like me.
And, vengeance.
One of the interesting things that you learn over time is that your gift is both a blessing and a curse, right? So persistence and, enjoying, challenges. If you don't really figure out how to curb and polish that talent, right? It can be both the blessing and the curse. And I watched my son ignore my coaching. Don't touch the stove. Looks at me. So ultimately my style learning, the reason why I wanted to do this today is that if there's just one person out there that I can share a little knowledge and save that time of dealing with a burnt finger, it's always well worth it, man. So
sure. Well, I've said we're just sharing that we've got children from the low 20s to the mid 30s, and I think that's one of the greatest sources of learnings and experience, to be a leader, to coach others, right? And so Tell us a little bit about when you think of employee experience, and you being a leader, starting your company back in 2006, going on 15 years now. You've obviously had to have been successful in creating an employee experience that, because otherwise you would not, your company would not be around, right? And I know for a fact that your team is very, very cohesive. They're very engaged with the company vision and happy. And I mean, I've seen the way they work, and it's truly a
Thank you.
testament to your leadership and your partners.
Thank you. I can't take all the credit. I got a great team.
Yeah.
You know, we do a great job of kind of staying in our areas of strength. And Mary Manzo, who's my business partner, leads from an execution side. So she's outstanding, taking a vision from whiteboard to reality. So I'm very fortunate that way. But I'll take credit for it because she's not here right now. But yeah, you said something interesting, right? When I think back, my time in my career, I didn't start off with an education, formal education. I went through a quick tech school program, got a job and started working. And I just always believed that if I worked hard, you'll get noticed and you'll get promoted. I've always had, I've always been grateful for every job. Even when I was washing dishes, I wanted to be, the best dishwasher, but it's funny, like when you look back on it, there's things you would have done different, right? And I'm guilty of speaking in analogies, so I'll kind of share. If you think about when you buy a new car, right? All of a sudden you see that car everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Was were those cars always there? Of course they were. You didn't notice them, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as you get older, you start to notice things around you more, right? Through experience.
Yeah.
And one of the things when I look back on my career, there were pieces missing that if they were there, could have accelerated the things I wanted, right? So employee experience is one of those things that I think of, and I listen to your podcast, and you have some excellent guests on there.
Thank you.
Matter of fact, when I listen to your podcast, I don't feel qualified to be on your show. But one of the folks that was on, gentleman Alan Nance, he talked about improving experience. And he said there was really two focus areas, right? There's the scientific big data approach, and then there's the touchy-feely, hugs and nurturing side. And there has to be somewhere in the middle, right? Well, I couldn't agree more, but I think that from an employee experience perspective, there's a whole spectrum of the way we come to work, what motivates us, what excites us, right? Some people are motivated by, greeted with a hug, during the time of the pandemic. My people who like hugs, we're kind of the enemy right now. It's not, I do this, they do this, like step back. So, and other people are motivated and learn through data and learning, and there's introverts and extroverts. So when you think about employee experience, it reminds me of my first job, where when I was learning how to troubleshoot, the gentleman who was teaching me at the time said, look, when you troubleshoot, you start from one end or the other, never in the middle, right? You find a no good point and you work your way through. All right. You start with employee experience. I hear people starting in the middle every time. If you're going to start with employee experience, start with employee number one, me, you, the person who is taking the journey. Start with yourself, right? If you want to create a positive experience for someone else, you have to be positive. You have to spend time getting to know who you are, what your strengths and weaknesses are, your blessing, your curse, right? How to set some goals to be a better leader, right? So for me, that's always been priority one, getting to know me. And, I'm in the service business, right? Every individual who answered the phone, wait a minute, let me not date myself. Do we still have phones, Pedro, that we actually talk on? I think we just text on them, right?
Yeah.
But if you're on a Zoom, when you answer to Zoom or WebEx, right, every individual on our team represents the brand. right? So if that person's having a bad day or they just, respond differently, it affects the whole brand, right? So you think about what we do in the people business, we sell the intangible, right? I mean, think about it. I go out there and I sit with you and say, hey, we're an elite ServiceNow partner, we have excellent customer service. I can do it better than the 1,000 other people who claim to do the same thing, right? What you're buying is trust. You're
Yeah.
buying that you believe that I'm going to keep my word, right? And I'm not the guy doing the work in the project, right? Or on the project, or at the end of the day, it's my team. So my team has to deliver on the experience that I presented, right? So the first person I have to work on is me. Why would my team answer that call and represent our brand, right? Our guys are incredible. I mean, I've heard stories from clients that tell me, hey, man, we were struggling and I reached out to your guy at 8 o'clock at night on a Friday. They picked up the phone. Next thing I got 4 guys on your team on the phone. We powered through it. We're laughing all night. I just want to let you know, thank you. They did a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an experience.
Yeah.
But I didn't tell them to get on the phone. There's no metric that says answer the phone at 8 o'clock, right? So the thing for me that gets exciting is it starts with employee one, right? For us at Pathways, we kind of try to set the example, right? Enjoy the job, right? What are the goals, right? So I start with my own personal goals. What gets me out of bed in the morning? What gets me happy? What are the things I really want when I spend the most precious thing we have, which is time,
Yeah.
away from my family on a job, 10, 12 hours a day, right? So once I do that, and here's the rantings of an old man that's on the back nine of his career, right? That I could say some of these younger folks, when you when you really, really think about it, what is it that you want is really going to determine how you go through your day. When you're winning, it's amazing what you can accomplish, right? You watch
Yeah.
fighters on TV, they just went through a war and they're smiling and waving, and the other guy is dejected and going to the hospital. Meanwhile, it was pretty even fight, right?
Yeah.
So that feeling can carry you through so many things. So it's really important to know what you want to start from that process. So for me, when I think back early in my career, I didn't really know what I wanted. I just thought that if I worked hard, I'd get noticed, right?
Uh-huh.
So I did, right? But not for the reasons that I wanted. I didn't get noticed to get promoted. I got noticed and put on all the difficult things because I made other people's job easier. So here's what you find out. Anyone that's listening to this, we're in IT, right? We're supporting IT. We're problem solvers. You
Yep.
live and work on problems all day, every day. You get really good at solving problems. And I could tell you it carries into your everyday life, right? So
Yep.
if you're going to start with an experience, come all the way to the beginning and start with, all right, how do I want to create a positive experience for me going forward? And then that's where you can now take that down to the rest of them. At Pathways, I could tell you how we do it. We don't start in the middle. We start with me, Mary, our leadership team. We identify our goals. What do we want, right? Our values, our core, our tagline, right? We
Yep.
listen, we care, we execute. It's very important to the brand that we create a positive experience. You're buying talent. You're buying
Yep.
problem solvers when you work with Pathways, right? So the first step is we have to listen. We have to know what the challenge is that you're trying to solve, right? We have to care about doing a great job. But you have to, right? You want to
Yep.
work with somebody that cares about the quality of the work they do. And then you have to execute. You have to do what you say you're going to do, and you have to do it well, right? So as the tagline, that's what we say out to our clients. Now, inside Pathways, when we work with each other, our core values are to be exceptional, be collaborative. And what that means is have respect for your teammates, right? Help out where you can, dive in, become the expert, right? And for the leadership team, when you really think about what we do, a lot of our folks are very talented developer, introverted type of
Yeah.
folks, for them to be consultative and share, right? Because one of the common mistakes with ServiceNow is just it's the blessing and curse ServiceNow. It'll do whatever you tell it to, right? So if a customer says, "Hey, do this," we say, "Okay, we do that."
Yeah.
You can't just say yes to clients with ServiceNow, right? You have to guide them down a path and stay within the guardrails of best practice.
Yeah.
Not easy to do that if you're an introverted kind of, your career so far has been in development and you're behind a keyboard and you don't really interact, right?
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
customer facing situations. So we don't really have developers, we have consultants, right?
Yep.
Those folks go through time, training to really talk to clients and share a best practice approach, right? To say no gently, nicely. And
Yep.
the reason that we support that is because, again, that's Pathways, that's a brand. You're buying all of us, right? We have a collaborative environment that if somebody doesn't know the answer, they feel safe to say, "You know what, that's a great question. Give me 2 minutes, let me get an answer for you." And we talk to the team. And that's a very interesting point right there, right? For me to say no to you, I have to feel safe, right?
Yep.
Forget the gentleman's name that was on your show. He talked about creating a safe environment. Gordon, I think his name was.
Yeah, it was Gordon Mitchell.
It's so true, right? I mean,
Yep.
I have to, one, enjoy what I'm doing, and I have to feel safe that I can make mistakes, right? Because, sometimes when you say no to a client, they might not be having the best day either, right?
Yeah.
They overreact. I need this right away. The first person that's on the front line needs to know that you have their back. So again, from an employee experience, my team knows I have their back. There's certain things that, we have to stand behind, right? And if clients tell us we need this to be successful, if you're hiring a consulting group, then we have to be consultative, right? You have to say no when you're being asked and paid to be the expert.
Yep.
Sometimes you have to deliver that bad news. Feel comfortable delivering bad news, right?
Yep.
We got your back. It's interesting, the conversations that I have sometimes when, I say it, and it's one thing, right? And then it hits the fan and you walk that talk, right?
Yeah.
It really, you could feel people on the team appreciate it and go forward more confidently, right? To say no to a client, right? To defend even when we're wrong, right? And that's the one thing with Pathways. We're not perfect, right? Our relationships with our clients are not because we figured this all out and we got all the answers, Hey, we're human, right? We mess up. But relationships aren't because there's a problem. Don't get developed because there's a problem. Relationships are developed by the way you handle problems. And if we messed up, we'll say it, right? Our team knows, hey, if you messed up, deliver it quickly, rally the troops. Somebody's probably been there, figured it out. Let's rally. Let's go in, take accountability. We'll fix it on our dime, right? Let's just do the right thing and get it, resolved and behind us, and we'll move forward. So again.
So Jeff, as I hear you share this, there's two things that stand out that I believe seem to be part of your model. So the first one is goals, right? Leadership set goals. And then the second one is be clear about your values and try and be as consistent as possible, right? So for instance, your values towards the outside customer facing is we listen, we care, we execute. And then internally it's be exceptional, be collaborative. So is there another sort of foundation to your formula there? Because I really see those two things come out very clearly. Clarity of goals, clarity of values, and obviously live as best as you can consistent with them.
Well, again, it gets transferred down, right? So yeah, you talked about what I want, but again, going back to what Alan Nance said, that spectrum from a leadership perspective,
Yeah.
it starts with working with individuals that represent the brand. What are your
Yeah.
goals? Where do you want to be? When we're in,
Uh-huh.
'tis the season, right? It's the last couple days
Yeah.
of an interesting year, to say the least, right?
Yeah.
But going into the new year, and again, like I started out, when I looked at my career, what do you want? What did I really want when I was 24, 25, 26 years old? I wanted to do a good job and I wanted to get promoted, but I didn't tell anybody, right? I didn't share my goals. So if someone came along and asked me, I probably wouldn't have known, right? And it's a
Right.
common thread. It's really
Yeah.
hard to know what you want sometimes, right?
And then especially to somehow quantify them. I mean, right? There's the qualitative aspect of your goals, but also the quantification. That's extremely difficult to get at, especially at such young age.
Well, and here's the hard part of employee experience, right? From a manager or leader perspective. Pedro, what do you want?
Yeah.
How do I help you? Right? Look, here's my goals. Here's what I want. I want Pedro to be outstanding. I want you to be responsive to our clients. I want you to give them what you got. I want you to know I got your back, and that if they're wrong, you got to tell them, right? You got to push back. You got to do it nicely. But you're not an island, right? You're not in this by yourself. Things go wrong. You call me, you call Mary, you call anybody you want. We got your back. Call us anytime. Our phones are always on. Whatever we need to do to help you, we're there. All right. But it's a two-way street. What do you need? Where do you see yourself? So some people, bang, snap it right out, right? Some people, I need to think about it. All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a couple meetings, but if you're going to help me, it's got to be mutually beneficial. I need to help you. So how do we help you achieve your goals? But I can help you if I don't know what they are. So we put folks through an exercise. Where do you want to be next year? What do you want to
Wow.
do? What's exciting about doing this? Um, when I met Mary, we had an interesting start. But when we went on our first project together, the first question I asked her was, "So, what's your story? Why do you
And by
do
the way,
this?"
just to interject, Mary is the president. You're the CEO. She's the president and COO, right?
Yeah,
Of Pathways.
she's the execution of Pathway. She's the smarter of the two.
So you went on one of your first projects together. Sorry to interject that, but I wanted the audience to have the
Oh
context.
yeah. Mary
And so you
managed.
ask her, okay, what are you about?
Yeah, so we're gonna work on our first project together, right? We got off to a rough start, so I said to her, "Come on, let's take a walk." I asked her goals. Why do you do this? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? I already knew what I wanted, but now I'm gonna work with a team, and I've always done this. I gotta have fun when I'm on a project, right? And
Yeah.
it's always fun on a project when you're winning as a team.
Yeah.
So so I asked her, "What are your goals?" Right? And it was interesting. That night, I kind of shared with her that ultimately I didn't start at that company because I wanted to be a salesman in another company. I really joined because I wanted to start my own business. I didn't know how. So I got offered an opportunity to be part of a business and sharing the profit, right? Not ownership, but sharing the profit. I figured it was a toe in.
Yeah.
It wasn't working out. So I was going to leave and the first opportunity to start a company. So I shared my goals first, mostly because she thought I was a weirdo and didn't trust me. But so I shared my goals first, and then she said, "Okay, I always wanted to go into sales. I need to make more money. I'm a sole income provider, but no one will train me." So I said, "I'll tell you what. You employee 6 of a company that started less than $1 million when she joined in annual revenue. Now they're a $150 million company, right? So
Wow.
I said, I can't do what you do. I watch what you do. You do so much. I'll make a deal with you. I'll coach and mentor you into sales, help you double or triple your income. And when I start my company, you help me build the bones of it out, right? And
Huh?
we shook hands and we partnered from that point forward. We
Wow.
kind of started aligning our goals and working towards, what you see as pathways today, that day.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but I do
So
that pretty much with everybody I work with. It's got to be mutual.
that's awesome. So let's sort of turn that into a compressed uh, statement for folks that are and maybe, not necessarily younger, or folks that may feel like they could go further, they want more out of life professionally, even personally. So define your goals
Yeah.
and learn to communicate them so that you can find the people with whom those goals may be aligned and collaborate, so you're not
Yeah.
alone.
And, again, like I started out and, I could talk about this stuff all day, but, when I think back, one, do the hard work, right? Really know what you want. It's
Yeah.
not as easy as you think. I start the process somewhere in November that I want to have my goals on paper by January 1. So, when you're younger, it's kind of easy because you might say, I want to buy a house. And everything about that is, I need to make enough money to buy a house. So you focus on the job, right?
Yep.
But one, identify your goals. What do you really want, right? Write them down and share them. That's number one thing I would have done. Don't rely on somebody to notice you and promote you, right? Decide what you want and work towards it. Here's something that's you hear it all the time. There's a war for talent, right?
Yep.
Everyone listening is talent, right? So think about what you want. Use the opportunity that you have with performance analytics as an example. If you believe that we're moving into a data-driven world, then you have an opportunity to learn the language of business through analytics. So you start with first, what do I want, right? And now this is the old man version of what I would do if I had to start all over, right?
Yeah.
I would put my time and energy into learning analytics to do my job very well. What are all the metrics I need to do my job well? And then
Yep.
you'll see people who go to school at night or work a second job or go for a master's degree, right? Well, I'm going to do my second job right where I'm at, right? I'm going to start to look around this organization and look at opportunity to say, hey, there's other groups out there that are all doing the same thing. We're all trying to solve problems. So now that I'm getting this education in the language of business called analytics, hey, how can I help you solve a problem? We've got all this information from your side of the fence. How can I help you solve it? You're selling yourself, you're selling your goals, you're selling your vision of where I want to be when you're doing that, right? And you collaborate and be exceptional, right? Help people. And Zig Ziglar said, right, you can get everything you want in life if you help enough people get what they want.
Yep.
So it's not a painless path. There are predators out there that'll just exploit you. Recognize it quickly and move on. But the more you can help people, the more you also are learning more about all the other areas of the business. So you can have more rounded conversations and you can go up higher and higher in the stack. So it's really interesting. I spent time with folks that are very, very technical, right? And they're in
Yeah.
the weeds of a product. And I'll tell them, start to move towards reporting and analytics, right?
My
Move
apologies.
into how do you decipher the information that these products are giving you to help solve the business challenges. And, it's 50-50. I'll hear some people say they really want to stay on the technology. And, again, trial and error. My
Yeah.
CNE certification is no longer valid, right? I could be a Novell expert and it doesn't really get me anywhere. Or, again, being in IT and being a problem solver, if I'm focused on analytics, I can really start to look at everything a little differently and add value to all the different, stakeholders I support. So it moves you up the ranks quicker because I promise you, everyone in IT is a problem solver. Everyone in IT needs problem solvers. Everybody want to work with somebody that's enjoys solving problems. So it
Yep.
is the fastest path up the stack, but no one knows what you want. So be
Yep.
clear about what you want. Why am I doing it? Right? Let people know so people will help you achieve your goals if they know what you want to achieve, especially if it mutually aligns with their own.
This is excellent. So, Jeff, we could stay here all day, but let's summarize and wrap up. So, you've shared with us the importance and the relationships of goals and values, and you shared it with us, looking at how you use that structure to create success for your company. And now you shared how that is literally a winning formula for individual success, right? Be clear about your goals, obviously understand your values, and then communicate that with those around you to see who can collaborate with you. That, yeah,
Yeah, it's the start of
awesome.
it's the first path of employee experience, right? Is to
Excellent.
really start with yourself, and then as a leader, right, start to now share those goals and help your team get to where they want to be. And again, like
Awesome.
I said, the
All
language.
right. And folks, let's remember you've got 40 years of experience here. Okay. For a gentleman that started as a solution consultant and today is a CEO of a company that's having an impact in the world of ServiceNow. Not an insignificant achievement. So, Jeff, to wrap up before we say goodbye to our listeners, how could people reach out to you, reach out to Pathways, any interesting things going on that you want to share with them?
Yeah. 2021 is going to be an interesting year for Pathways. We obviously set our goals to scale nationally this year and double in size, and create opportunity for the folks internal. I'll share one thing what we do with folks at Pathways, pathwayscg.com. We're very good within the ServiceNow ecosystem. It's what we do. It's all we do. We work with firms like Westbury for folks that want to take analytics to the next level. We don't claim to be all things to all people. We work within the ecosystem. So when our clients, and how we got to meet when they wanted to take analytics to the next level, work with Westbury to not only leverage that expertise, but to put that framework in place so that clients get on the right path at the start. So it's been exciting working with Westbury, and I think it benefits not only Pathways but also our clients and Westbury as well.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
love to chatter about anything we could do to help you achieve your goals when it comes to realizing the value of your investment in ServiceNow.
All right, awesome. Well, Jeff, I want to thank you for taking time to chat with us today and share your experience with our listeners. And here's to a great 2021 for you personally and for Pathways.
Thank you, Pedro. Very appreciative of the time you gave me here. Thank you.
Sure enough. We see a time when all business leaders using ServiceNow Performance Analytics will easily know how to leverage its power to help them reach their business goals. Performance Analytics offers you a way to do that. To discover how you can get there faster, send us an email to info@westburyanalytics.com.